Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Colonel John Lloyd from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, North Atlantic Division, and the commander of NAD. I'd like to welcome you to today's award ceremony in honor of U.S. Senator Thomas R. Carper. I'd like to acknowledge some special guests who are joining us today. Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long, Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester, Delaware Secretary of State Jeff Bullock, Rehoboth Beach Mayor Stan Mills, and representing Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, Mr. Jamie Pinkham. Miss Stacy Brown and Miss Robin Colosimo. Also joining us today are Miss Lisa Boren Ogden, the Deputy Secretary of the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Conservation, and other elected officials and distinguished guests. We are here to recognize Honorable Carper with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer Regiment's Premier Award, the Gold de Fleury Medal. Thank all of you for being here for this special day. At this time, I'm pleased to welcome Rehoboth Beach Mayor Stan Mills, who's graciously welcomed all of us to this beautiful location on the beach. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Colonel. And as mayor, it is my great honor to welcome you and everyone here today and for the city to host this award ceremony of the prestigious Army Engineer Association's Gold de Fleury Medal to First State Senator Tom Carper. I'd like to share a few reflections with you. City of Rehoboth Beach came to be known as the nation's summer capital beginning in 1925. When the last section of paved highway was constructed linking Washington, D.C. to Rehoboth Beach, making it easier for many legislators, diplomats, and government employees to visit and vacation here. And while we have evolved into a destination for visitors worldwide, we still attract a large number of visitors and notables from Washington, D.C. We are thrilled to have leaders today from the nation's capital with us today, along with leaders from the state of Delaware and from counties and communities throughout the state. Wow, can you think of a better background for this kind of ceremony? It is just gorgeous. Rehoboth Beach remains a popular destination because of the beautiful beach that very recently has been restored by the United States Army Corps of Engineers. They finished placing sand just last month to widen our beach and strengthen our dunes. This critical work protects our coastal community from storms while supporting our environment and the economic engine of tourism. Between leading the charge for Water Resources Development Acts that authorize important water resources projects and then making sure that they receive funding to get them built, Senator Carper makes the Corps' vinyl restoration at Rehoboth Beach and other beach towns in Delaware possible. Senator Carper, we cannot thank you enough for your contributions to this community, to other communities, beach communities, and all of Delaware. You're welcome. And we're so proud that your tireless efforts will be recognized by this special award from the United States Army Chief of Engineers, an award that's only issued one time a year. With that, Colonel Lloyd, thank you very much.
We're now honored to welcome Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long. Ma'am.
Thank you. Wow. Well, good afternoon, Senator Carper. We are all here so proud. The United States Army Corps, you could have not picked a finer statesman in this nation and certainly we're biased for Delaware. You are the best of Delaware. Today, when we stand here, I'm a little biased, if you don't know, with the first name of Bethany, to our Imagine My Creative family, the Sussex Bethany Beach girl, but to my colleagues here, as I look in this audience, the many current and former municipal leaders, and to our incredible mayor, your words are so true. There is not a better backdrop than a beach and a coastline. And there's nothing more important to our economy, to our tourism, for our well-being in so many ways. And to our United States Senator and our Congresswoman, who this past year earmarked with the $25 million through the Water Resource Development Act, critical funding, not only for infrastructure, our waterways, but the 27 miles of bay beaches. Think about that, 27 miles of bay beaches, which often aren't thought about. And not only are you being honored for that, but for your legacy of years of commitment. When others weren't seeing the light, seeing the vision and the importance, Senator, you saw that. And the fact that, think about this, in less than the last decade, you have helped earmark over $300 million, actually over the last couple of years, for infrastructure, for our waterways and our resources. That is remarkable. And I know Governor Carney, myself, Secretary Bullock, who are here from the state administration today, for you played a vital role while you were also governor. Your leadership and trajectory is carried forward. And so to, Colonel Lloyd, and to our Lieutenant General Spellmon, I just can't thank you enough on behalf of Governor Carney and myself and others for recognizing Delaware's true champion who does so much of a legacy for our waterways. And to those who came out today, thank you for being here. There's nothing more important than what our Army Corps does. And I just thank you so much. And we knew today, the joke's always on the Lieutenant Governor and the weather, that we were going to hold out. For you, Senator, we're holding out. And I'm going to sit down because you never know when that weather might change. So I'm going to sit down while the getting's good. I'll have you come over, and your notes flew around, so we'll give you a second to find yourself.
You did amazing. Amazing job, ma'am. Thanks again, ma'am. We're also honored to welcome Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester, ma'am.
Wow. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge the Lieutenant Governor and thank her for the weather. We actually followed the senator here from Newcastle County, and it literally rained, the sun shined, we saw steam, we saw everything on the way here. So thank you so much, and we're glad to be here. I want to also thank first of all, thank Colonel Lloyd for recognizing me, and our Lieutenant Governor, to the mayor. Thank you so much for the hospitality. All of us who are from Delaware love Rehoboth Beach. Yesterday I was in Washington, D.C., and I had a roundtable, and I made every person, before they talked about their issue, I said, I want you to tell me something special about Delaware that you know. You don't know how many people mentioned Rehoboth Beach. They also mentioned Dewey and Orange Crushes, but that's another story. Anyway, I am pleased to be here. Oh, this is important. Can't let the flag, okay, we got the flag. And again, thank you to Lieutenant General Spellmon, all the senior leadership at the Army Corps for recognizing one of Delaware's, one of our nation's heroes. Senator Carper, it's very special also to see you with your cap on. He's got his Vietnam veteran cap on. Senator Carper is the last serving Vietnam veteran in the United States Senate and in Congress. And so please give him a round of applause for his service to our country. For me, I've known him as the person who served in the military, but also as a boss, a friend, a mentor, in so many different levels. And as a state, we've known him as our treasurer and our congressman and our governor and our senator. And I think one of the reasons why this award is so special is because it is a combination, it's a culmination of all of those years of both being a fiduciary, responsible person, a good steward of resources, and at the same time caring about our environment, caring about our state. and just really representing service. And so this award, this distinguished award, the Gold de Fleury, I think I might have said that correctly, my little bit of French, is actually really special because, as was said, it's only given out once. But what we haven't said is that it's only given out once to an external person. And so once a year it is given out. And over the past over 30 years, only 6 have been members of Congress. So you are special. We know it. Now the world knows it. You are special. Only 6 to members of Congress. And again, I'm honored to be here. And I really wanted to also just acknowledge, for me, the work that you have done for our environment, for our shorelines, our coastlines, our riverbanks, our beaches, is personal. We've watched you do it. We've watched you spring into action when there is, a nor'easter. I mean, you get in your car, you come to, it used to be your van of 500,000 miles, which has been retired. The van retired before you did, so that's a good thing. But it was a close call. But you always prioritize Delaware and the environment in our country. And what's so special about this is that you're receiving this award for your leadership for addressing the nation's water resources infrastructure needs. Over $17 billion for Army Civil Works Program, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, that he was one of the champions to make sure it was bipartisan. That it wasn't a Democrat bill, a Republican bill, or independent. It was a bipartisan American bill for our infrastructure. And then WRDA, the Water Resources Development Act. I have to tell you, one of the most proud things that I've been able to achieve in my time has been in partnership with you for the SHORE Act. Because we heard from mayors, we heard from the municipalities, we heard from residents and businesses that our shores, our banks, our rivers are important. And then working with the Army Corps. I mean, you are the champion of the Army Corps. That's why they're giving you this award. He might be leaving this to go work for the Army Corps. I don't know if I'm announcing anything here, but you are truly a champion for the Corps. I've got a lot of notes here of all your accomplishments, and we will have time for that. But this morning, when I was getting ready for my day, sometimes I'll do a little Bible study. And I opened it, I have a leadership Bible. And funny enough, what I read this morning wasn't a Bible verse. It was within that Bible was a quote from Winston Churchill. Now this man, anybody who knows Tom Carper knows he will quote Churchill in a minute. And so today I found a quote for you that is a Winston Churchill quote that talks about a leader being at the right place at the right time. Churchill said this: "There comes a special moment in everyone's life, a moment for which that person was born. That special opportunity, when he seizes it, will fulfill his mission, a mission for which he is uniquely qualified. In that moment, he finds greatness. It is his final hour. You are a great, great, great public servant. You are great for Delaware. You are great for our country. Your work will help us save the planet and save the world." Thank you so much, Senator Carper. Thank you to the Army Corps for giving him this honor.
Thank you, Representative Rochester. It's my great honor to introduce and welcome my boss, the 55th Chief of Engineers and Commanding General, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Lieutenant General Scott A. Spellmon. Sir.
Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on this very special occasion. As has been mentioned, every year the U.S. Army serving Chief of Engineers has the distinct honor to present our Engineer Regiment's most prestigious and signature award to two people. One that recognizes superior service, leadership, and contributions from one of our military members or Department of the Army civilians inside the Army Corps of Engineers. And another that recognizes an individual that supports our U.S. Army Engineer Regiment from the outside. This is a very special award to us, and it's always a challenge for someone like me to do this award justice from behind a podium with just a few words or a speech. So we put together a brief video that we would like to show you that talks about the history of this award, the great leader for whom it's named, and its importance to our regiment. And before I go any further, I would like to play that video for you at this time. I am Lieutenant General Scott Spellmon, 55th Chief of Engineers and Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I'm coming to you today from Stony Point, New York, on the banks of the Hudson River. It was at this location in July of 1779 that one of the heroes of our regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Francois de Fleury, exhibited exceptional leadership under fire and was later recognized by the Continental Congress, who even had a medal struck in his honor.
The de Fleury Medal was named in honor of Francois Louis Thésier de Fleury, a French military engineer serving in the Continental Army. In 1777, de Fleury volunteered to serve with the American Army in our fight for independence from Great Britain. The Continental Congress appointed de Fleury a captain of engineers, and quickly proving himself at the battles of Fort Mifflin and Brandywine, he was promoted to lieutenant colonel.
On June 1st, 1779, the British captured Stony Point, New York, on the western side of the Hudson River, and Verplancks Point, directly across the river to the east. Possession of the two strategic forts brought a key part of the river under enemy control and also threatened the Americans' position at West Point, located less than 15 miles upriver. After reinforcing Stony Point, the British commander regarded it as a little Gibraltar.
Recognizing the danger, General Washington planned a daring surprise assault. On the night of July 15-16, he ordered a recently formed light infantry corps, led by Brigadier General Mad Anthony Wayne, to attack Stony Point. The force consisted of 4 battalions. Colonel Christian Old Denmark Febiger led the 1st Battalion, with de Fleury as second in command.
On July 15th, the Corps, except for a small diversionary force, unloaded weapons and turned in their ammunition. Secrecy was so tight, the troops did not know they were going to attempt to recapture Stony Point. For such a risky assault, surprise was vital, and the attack was to take place in total darkness. Fixed bayonets and hand-to-hand combat were the orders of the day.
The Continentals launched a 2-prong attack on the fortress. De Fleury led the assault up the rocky southern slope. First over the wall, de Fleury was followed by a wave of American bayonets. Rushing to the flagpole, de Fleury cut the British colors from their staff. Just after midnight, the 29-year-old de Fleury single-handedly struck the colors of the British 17th Regiment of Foot. By 2 a.m., General Wayne triumphantly wrote to Washington saying, "The fort and garrison are ours. Our officers and men behaved like men who are determined to be free."
So it was that on October 1st, 1779, de Fleury stood before the Continental Congress to be praised for his valor at Stony Point. For his intrepid behavior, the Continental Congress ordered that a medal be struck in his honor. On the obverse of the medal is the Latin inscription translated as, "A memorial and reward for courage and boldness." On the reverse, again in Latin, "Fortifications, marshes, enemies overcome." Beneath the fort is the legend, "Stony Point carried by storm, July 15th, 1779.
Today, the hallmarks of the Army Engineer Regiment stand on twin pillars, supporting combat operations and building vital infrastructure in the United States. The regiment currently consists of 2 elements: the 91,000 Army Engineer soldiers serving in active duty, reserve, and National Guard troop units, and the 37,000 largely civilian members of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Under the leadership of the Chief of Engineers, this combined engineer team provides engineering expertise to the Army and responds to the nation's toughest challenges.
In 1989,
The Engineer Regiment adopted the De Fleury Medal as a symbol to recognize today's engineer achievements because of the shared values demonstrated by the man for whom it was struck. The Engineer Regiment makes 4 award levels of the De Fleury Medal: steel, bronze, silver, and gold.
The Gold Medal. The United States Army Chief of Engineers is the only person authorized to award the Gold Medal each year to an individual whose contributions to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Army Engineer Regiment exemplify boldness, courage, and commitment to a strong national defense. Starting in 2011, 2 gold medals are awarded annually, one to an individual outside the regiment and of national prominence, and one to an individual inside the regiment.
The credit for today's De Fleury Award program goes to Lieutenant General retired Daniel R. Schroeder, who in 1989 was the commanding general of Fort Leonard Wood and the U.S. Army Engineer School Commandant. He wanted an award that would tie together the history of contributions of the Engineer Regiment, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the birth of our great nation.
Today, the U.S. Army Engineer Association is the arbiter of the De Fleury Medal program. The first Gold de Fleury Medal recipient was Honorable John O. Marsh, Jr., the Secretary of the Army, in 1989.
Because values have meaning to our engineer soldiers and those who support them, it is only appropriate that our nation's premier engineer award represent a soldier who served valiantly with the birth of our great country. And we saw those values on full display nearly 250 years ago, right here on the banks of the Hudson River in Lieutenant Colonel Francois de Fleury. Congratulations to all of you who are receiving this prestigious award named in his honor. Essayons, building strong, be all you can be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's only fitting that we present what we call our most prestigious award in the U.S. Army Engineer Regiment to one of the main forces behind the key military and civil infrastructure improvements made not only here in the state of Delaware, but across our great nation. And you're going to find that as we talk about the career and impact of this outstanding leader, you'll see that his drive to strengthen and secure our nation matches that same drive that Lieutenant Colonel Francois de Fleury exhibited on that windy July night back in 1779 at Stony Point, New York. And like others have said, I can't think of a better setting either to present this award than right here on Rehoboth Beach, where you can see firsthand the value of these important projects in maintaining and supporting communities along our coastlines, both in reducing flood risk and ensuring economic sustainability. And it goes without saying that for the last 200 years, the state of Delaware played a key role in every aspect of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers mission, from military construction right here at Dover Air Force Base, to navigation along the C&D Canal, to the system of dunes, berms, and jetties along the entire Delaware coast. Each of these projects requires close coordination with community leaders, partners, the public, and they require a champion. And for the past 4 decades, the residents of Delaware have been blessed with Senator Carper as their champion to work with his colleagues in our nation's capital to find solutions to the issues that impact them the most. And we in the Corps and the Assistant Secretary's Office have had a front seat to these efforts, and we're proud to have played a role in implementing these solutions throughout this state. I want to share just a couple of key highlights that really bring into focus the full impact of these efforts. And at the very top of this list is Senator Carper's work on the Delaware Shoreline Protection Program. For more than 20 years, our Philadelphia district has worked in partnership with the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control on a number of coastal storm risk management projects along the coastline of this great state. These projects are designed and built to reduce storm damages to homes, communities, and places where people work. These projects involve dredging from approved offshore borrow sites and pumping that sand through a series of pipes onto the beach. The sand is then graded and shaped into a berm, and the projects are periodically renourished. This is a massive effort, not just for the engineering, design, and construction that goes into them, but for the coordination among lawmakers, the state, and the community. And sir, you have been a leader facilitating all of these relationships and helping to make it all happen, and we can't thank you enough. And while Senator Carper was busy helping to reduce risk to our coastal communities, he was also busy securing navigation and in commerce by ensuring uninterrupted movement of goods along our inland waterways, such as up and down the C&D Canal and out on the Delaware River. One recent effort he helped lead was securing over $43 million to design and repair the jetty and bulkhead that supports the Indian River Inlet just a few miles from here. And this feature connects the Indian River and Rehoboth Bays with the Atlantic Ocean. This collaboration, often transparent and conducted behind the scenes, only happens with the steady and experienced hand of leaders who can look past party lines and find solutions that everyone can get behind. And while Senator Carper is passionate about Delaware, I can assure you he is equally passionate about our Army and our programs nationwide. And so I would just like to end with one quick story. You may not remember this one. You have many witnesses that come before your committee, but I'd like to tell this one. During a committee hearing last year, when I had the opportunity to testify before Senator Carper's hearing, it was on the Water Resource Development Act of 2022, and he asked me a question that I often don't get in a hearing. And he said, General Spellmon, what specific tools would you like to see in this next round of legislation? And he gave me the opportunity. I shared several ideas, but one in particular was a change to amend the 1956 Flood Control Act, where only commissioned officers were allowed to serve on our civil works projects. And I remember telling Senator Carper at the time that our Army and our Army Corps of Engineers have evolved a lot since 1956. And today, we have non-commissioned officers out in the Army that have master's degrees in project management. And I have warrant officers serving today that have advanced technical degrees in electrical engineering. And wouldn't it be great if we could amend that legislation to allow that talent to serve in helping us deliver this massive program? And I remember, Senator, you came up to me after the hearing and very bluntly said, I think we can make this happen. I have no idea how hard that was in the halls of Congress, but you did, sir. You and your colleagues made that happen for us. And this seemingly small tool to everyone not only gives us the ability to put more of the right people on these very complicated projects, it also serves as an incredible professional development opportunity for our warrant officers and non-commissioned officers. And sir, we can't thank you enough for your unwavering boldness, your courage, your commitment and service to our nation, certainly the state of Delaware, and our U.S. Army Engineer Regiment. You have been an incredible example and mentor to so many. So ladies and gentlemen, I am incredibly proud and honored to present the 2023 Gold de Fleury Medal to Senator Tom Carper. And sir, with your permission, we'd like to make this official and have you join me at the front of the podium.
The Army Engineer Association, on behalf of the Engineer Regiment, is proud to award the Gold Order of the de Fleury Medal to Honorable Thomas R. Carper for inspirational leadership to the United States Army Corps of Engineers. The citation reads, Senator Thomas Carper exemplifies the finest attributes of a public servant and leader. During more than 30-plus years of public service, Senator Carper has been a bold advocate for service members, civilians, family members, and veterans. He has been instrumental in supporting USACE initiatives and works tirelessly to develop practical solutions to real problems. His ability to work across party lines has earned him a reputation for consensus building. His dedicated leadership substantially contributed to the Corps of Engineer mission and bring great credit upon him, the U.S. Army Engineer Regiment, and the nation. Signed, Scott A. Spellmon, Lieutenant General, United States Army, Chief of Engineers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome the most recent recipient of the Gold de Fleury Medal, Senator Carper. Sir.
General Spellmon, Colonel, distinguished guests, mayors, secretaries. I wish my wife Martha could have been here with me today. She was leaving. I was leaving the house to cover the state today, and she said, "Where are you going? What are you going to do?" And I explained. She said, "Flurry of what?" I tried to explain it, make it real. But I'm reminded of a time, I think I was stepping down as governor. We had a great run. A bunch of people, Jeff and others, Jonathan and others, were part of our team, Lisa. And we just had great 8 years. And I forget where we were, but someplace, and they decided to honor me. It's the guy who's stepping down as governor, about to go to the Senate. And in the run-up to introduce me to speak, the person who was introducing me just got really carried away, and he said, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you a very, 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 very great man, our governor, Tom Carper." People stood up, they applauded. It was very nice, so lovely, lovely, lovely. And a little bit later that evening, about an hour or so later, got back in the car, and we're heading out. It was just the two of us driving home. And it was quiet in the car, and she said, what are you thinking? And I said, I'm just sitting here wondering how many very, very, very great men there are in the world. And she said, "There's one less than you think." And she's right. She's right then, and she'd have the same message here today. We all need somebody like this to keep us open. There's a lot of irony here on this. About a mile or two down the road, something magical happened in my life. Some of you have heard the quote by Mark Twain. Mark Twain used to say the two most important days of our life are, one, the day we were born, and two, the day we figured out why. And literally 2 miles down the beach here, during a Democratic convention going on in Dover, Delaware, the Democrats were nominating candidate for U.S. Senate, U.S. House, governor, lieutenant governor, and so forth. And they did not nominate anybody to run for state treasurer. Nobody wanted to run. We had the worst credit rating in the country. We were just in terrible shape. And I turned, as the sun was going down, it had been a hot day, I turned to my girlfriend and I said, "You're not going to believe this, but I feel like I'm going to be the Democratic candidate for state treasurer." I was like 2 years out of the Navy and been in Delaware like 2 years. I said, I think I'm going to be the Democratic candidate for state treasurer, and I think I'm going to win." And she looked at me, Jeff, and she said, "You've been in the sun too long." But I just knew, for some reason, that this is what I should do, and never imagined it would come this far. But I'm deeply honored, and I understand fully that one of the keys in leadership is always surrounding yourself with the best people you can find, the smartest people you can find, and when things go well, they give the credit to the team, and when things don't go so well, the leader takes the blame. There's a bunch of people in this audience that have been part of my team. We call it Carper Town. I didn't come up with that, but it's a great word. And my wife thinks we ought to name stuff in the state after me. She wants to rename the Dover Air Force Base after me. She wants to rename Wilmington after me, Carper Town. And but everybody that's part of Carper Town has been part of the teams I've been privileged to. Just stand up and take. These are the people who deserve the credit here. Love you all. Thank you all. Well, Mayor, and to you, to our Lieutenant Governor, to my Congresista, our Congresswoman, Lisa Blunt Rochester, who's been just a great friend and colleague for all these years. She says I'm her mentor. Actually, we mentor each other, and I've probably gotten more out of that relationship than she has. Governor, thank you so much. I think it's going to storm like hell here in about 10 minutes. So I always thought all my life I thought God was on my side. Today I'm not so sure. But bear with me, and if the skies open up and the wind blows us away, then you'll know there's something wrong. It's kind of ironic that we're here. I was a fairly new member of the Senate. ended up on the Environment and Public Works Committee as a freshman. And one of the first things that happened, Jeff may remember this, I ended up getting on a conference committee to help work out a compromise between the House and Senate infrastructure bills for roads, highways, bridges. And I kept getting calls from our staff saying, they found more money. They have to find more places in Delaware to invest the money. And one, like day after day, night after night, I said, "Oh my God!" And I'm just a freshman. What all is happening? And finally, we turned out. I forget who was the mayor at the time. But but whoever was the mayor, we called him and he said, "What do you need what else do you need in Rehoboth?" He said, "Well, we need the streetscape from State Route 1, and while you're at it, how about a bandstand?" And so, and like, you have a great streetscape coming into this place, and the bandstand ain't bad either. And I feel privileged to have had a chance to be involved in this. I'm going to try to stick to my text here, and we'll stay out of trouble. But again, General Spellmon, thank you so much for help, for being willing to honor a Navy guy like this, and to our Colonel Lloyd, thanks for the intro, and to our Congresswoman, our Lieutenant Governor, to our Mayor, thank you for all your very, very, very kind remarks. In my brief career as a public servant, I consider advancing smart water resources policies and important infrastructure projects with the Army Corps of Engineers to be among some of my proudest achievements. We are so much in your debt here in the state of Delaware. Put your hands together for the Army Corps of Engineers. We owe you so much. Thank you. And we recognize with the Gold de Fleury Medal, undeserved but not unappreciated. I thank you very much. But whether it's restoring our beaches, or protecting our coastal communities from sea level rise, or maintaining the channels and our ports that deliver agricultural goods around the world, over 90% of the marketplaces for our goods and services in this country are overseas. Roughly 90% of it travels over water. And none of it would move but for the Army Corps of Engineers and helping. Is it raining yet? Oh, this is good. Well, I'll just stretch this out. This is let it rain, let it rain. But you play a critical role in our economy, and you have for a long, long time. And I would just say to somebody on our team, when you want to pull the plug and get me off of here, when we're going through the luge, don't hesitate. But the Corps' role has never been more important as we face the reality of climate change. It's been alluded to already. The last Congress, we gave the Corps important tools to mitigate the impacts of climate change, which I know they are already putting to good use. The French, this award actually is named after a Frenchman. And if you think back in the world, in our war for independence, our battle for independence against the British, you know who saved our rear ends? The French. Let's put our hands together for them. Thanks to the French. And speaking of Frenchmen, I've gotten to know their leader, President Macron, a little bit in the last year or two. He came and spoke at a joint session of Congress, as Lisa will probably remember. I'll never forget what he said. He said, we only got one planet. He said, we only got one planet. He said, there's no planet B. No planet B. That's true. This is the only one we've got, and we've got to take care of it. And it's been my privilege to work with a bunch of colleagues to make sure we do that, including especially with Lisa. But I'm especially proud of the work that we did on our committee by passing historic Water Resources Development Act reauthorizations. Hugely important stuff for the whole country. Has something in it for every single state. Every single state. Bipartisan, bicameral, passes by almost unanimous votes. You never just, and I honestly believe in my heart that bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions. If you do too, put your hands together. Bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions. Always have been. The work we did on the WRDA legislation has allowed the Corps to better protect Delaware's beaches from damaging storms, to continue to support eco-restoration across our country, and right here at home at Prime Hook National Wildlife Refuge, and to focus on shoreline and riverbank protection and renourishment, which we see literally behind us here today. So while I'm accepting this award, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize all the fantastic work that the Corps has done in the state of Delaware, and we've already done that, and we're from the bottom of our heart. Thank you. And I especially want to thank folks from the Philadelphia district who are here today, just like they are anytime we call. Put your hands together again to folks from the Army Corps, Philadelphia. You are working to help us expand protect our coastal communities, expand our port of Wilmington, maintain our waterways to make sure we have safe navigation for recreation and commerce. And the district's efforts speak volumes about the leadership and direction they receive from the North Atlantic Division and Corps headquarters, as well as from the Army. So pleased that all the leaders from the Corps could be here today. I don't know who's doing the work back in the office, but we're very glad you are here. I don't know if any of you have any favorite African proverbs. I learned one from Lisa a couple of years ago. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, travel together. And what we've done is travel together with the Army Corps, and it's been good for us, and it's been good for our state, and it's been good for our country. I probably have a list of people I ought to thank, and if we did that, we'd be here till tomorrow. But I mentioned bipartisan solutions or lasting solutions, and one of my partners that I work with there every day in the United States Senate is from West Virginia. I'm a West Virginia boy born in a coal mining town of Beckley, and Shelley Capador is the ranking Republican on our committee. Great partner. We work just like hand in glove, People say, "Are you sure you're Democrat and Republican?" We are, and every Thursday we meet. We go through our agendas, what she wants to get done, what I need to get done, and make sure we're on the same page. Our accomplishments in making changes for Delaware have been truly a group effort, and their dedication to our state and her state are admirable. How are we doing over there? Okay, good. Let me just pause for a moment and just say special thanks to the people of Delaware whose support and has enabled me to work for them in all these different roles I've played. I'm deeply grateful. Almost every day I'm approached by folks from Delaware who want to say thank you for beach replenishment. They want to say thank you for bringing the jobs to our region, and they want to say thank you for making it safe and beautiful for people to live here and to enjoy it. Last but not least, I want to thank my stellar staff. I've asked folks who are part of Carpertown to stand. I want to ask John Keane to come up. John Keane, who's the heart and soul of these efforts. John Keane. Love this guy's shoes. And John helped me with this. Mackie's here. I want Mackie to come up. Mackie, come up. Chris, come on up. I think Mark might be here. Maylee might be here. Nicole, everybody come up. Everybody. Give them a nice round of applause. Would you come over here? And I'm going to ask him just to stand here, just for a few minutes, and I'm almost done. My mom and dad died a number of years ago. Some of you knew them, and they raised a couple of kids in coal mining town in West Virginia to believe that we have an obligation to help other people, and that we have an obligation to treat other people the way we want to be treated. And that's literally the way I've lived my life. I had an opportunity to be a Boy Scout, be a Civil Air Patrol cadet, be a Navy midshipman, and for many years serve on active duty, to serve 3 tours in Southeast Asia, and to be mentored by all kinds of wonderful leaders, and throughout that. And among the things that I learned about leadership is leaders are humble, not haughty. Leaders have the heart of a servant. They understand that their job is to serve, not be served. Leaders are aspirational. They appeal to better as angels. There's a Frenchman named Camus, who used to say that leaders are purveyors of hope. Isn't that great? Leaders are purveyors of hope. Leaders surround themselves with the best team they can find, and when the team does well, the leader gives the credit to the team, and when the team falls short, the leader takes the blame. Leaders focus on excellence in everything they do. I like to say, if it isn't perfect, let's make it better. If it isn't perfect, let's make it better. And when leaders know that they're right, they're sure that they're right, they just don't give up. And I've been blessed to be around the great leaders for most of my life. And I've also been around some really lousy ones. I probably learned more from the bad ones than I learned from the great ones. But I've had a little bit of mixture. Fortunately, most of them were really, really good, and for that I am grateful. I think that's it. Martha, I just wish you were here to hear all this, honey, and and to know that there's another group of people that think I'm okay. And I would say, with respect to my bride, we've been married 37 years. We were born married on New Year's Day about 37 years ago, and I proposed to her on our first date. I had known her for 2 hours, and a blind date set up by her first cousin, who was married to one of my best friends in the House of Representatives, John Spatt of South Carolina. And I told her, I said, at the end of our dinner, we're having a great dinner at Mrs. Rubino's restaurant in Wilmington, Italian restaurant, and the waiter was ready to close. They were ready to close and go home. And it was like 10 o'clock, and I said to the waiter, "Give me another like 5 minutes. Give me another 5 minutes, and we'll go." And he said, "Okay," he backed off, and I raised my glass of wine. I said to Martha, I said, "Honey, here's to our marriage." And she said, "To our what?" And I said, "To our marriage." And she called the waiter over. She called the waiter, and she said, "Give him the check and call me a taxi." And 4 months later, we got married. And I've been a lucky guy ever since. Thank you all. God bless you. Thank you very much.